This whole process started about 8 or 9 years ago when Trek Segafredo was racing in the Tour de France and they had these Ferrari red racing bikes. And I thought to myself, those look sexy. I might want one of those one day. And that's when that itch started. I have an envelope that I keep with me at all times. Anytime I have a little bit of cash, I put the cash in that envelope. And no, it's not to hide from the IRS. It's to hide from my family so that I can have a bike fund. That's my little emergency fund in case I someday decide to buy a new bike or just need some parts. So my birthday is coming up and I had about 8 years of savings. And man, I was ready. I'm riding a Specialized Roubaix. It's from 2010. It's 15 years old. It has served me very, very well. I love this bike. I have it essentially custom made to fit me like a glove perfectly. I absolutely love my Roubaix, except I just wanted something different. I wanted a different color. I wanted a different brand. I wanted a different type of bike, just to have something different. So after reviewing for many, many years, every nut and bolt of every single bike, learning the stack height and the reach, everything, I kind of sold myself on how much I love the idea of getting a Trek. So since it was my birthday, I decided this year I'm getting a new bike. I sold myself on the Trek Domane. I really liked it. They had a great color this year, and you can actually customize the color if you're willing to spend the money. They had this little compartment in the down tube that can store all your tools. And I thought, that is so cool. I went to the Trek shop, I test rode a Domane, and it wasn't exactly what I had thought. It was almost like I had a friend who was showing me a picture of a girl that was available. You finally got enough courage to ask this girl out, and you go on your first date, and there's just no connection. It was a good bike, don't get me wrong. It's just, I wasn't feeling it. It was almost like I didn't want to give up my money for this. So right at the same time, Canyon all of a sudden had a testing site. They were advertising that you can test ride the Canyons in Calabasas at Peddler's Fork. And I thought, oh my God, I've always loved the idea of getting a Canyon, except for a couple things, and I'll tell you what those are. One of the problems was that you had to order a Canyon. You couldn't ever go test ride a Canyon. And I thought, for this kind of money, I've got to be able to test ride it. But now there was an opportunity to do it. I didn't like the idea many years ago about the press fit bottom bracket because they always kind of squeaked. And there's nothing worse than a bike that squeaks. So I didn't want a press fit bottom bracket, but I figured by now they had already updated things and they got that technology wired. The other problem with the Canyon was the cockpit. The handlebars and the stem were one piece, which looked fantastic, but the problem was that what if it doesn't fit? And if you have to buy a new set of handlebars, it's proprietary handlebars. Well, this year, they came up with a solution, at least for the width, was that you had these bolts and the handlebars could go in or out. Problem solved. And it turned out that the Canyon that I wanted, which was a small, came with a 90mm stem. That's exactly what I wanted. So I go to Peddler's Fork and I test ride a Canyon. And I have to say, oh my God, this was a bike. They talk about with like BMW, German engineering, this bike rocked. I came home and I told my wife, babe, this was a bike. I know it's hard to explain, but I think I'm buying a bike. So to make sure I didn't make a rash decision, I waited a couple days, but it was just brewing in my head and birthday's coming up, right? And I thought, come on, man, what are you doing, Adam? Just get this bike. I call up Peddler's Fork and I say, hey, I want to buy a bike. And they say, well, we don't sell the bikes. We're just a testing site. I was like, what do you mean you don't sell the bikes? And they said, we have loaner bikes that we allow for testing, but we're not a dealership. It's not like a Trek dealer or a Specialized dealer. I thought, well, okay, well, how do I get a bike? And they go, you got to order it online. And I thought, Okay, well, whatever. So I fire up the computer. My finger is just dangling there right above the return button. I'm about to buy a bike and I'm nervous, but I'm excited. And as I'm sitting there, I noticed something. That's weird. I looked at the specs again of the exact bike that I wanted, and it said hookless rims. And I remember thinking, hookless rims? I remember hookless rims from years ago. Wasn't that like a new technology? And I pulled my finger away from the return button and I said, what does that mean? Well, it turns out that normal rims, like I have on all my bikes, the rim itself has a hook, and then the tire also has a hook, and that's what keeps the tire attached to the rim for the most part, along with the air pressure. Well, these had a flat surface and then a flat surface to the tire. Now, I'm no engineer and I'm not the smartest guy in the world, but to me, that seems like kind of a stupid design. Then I started reading about it further, and it turns out that you can only run a certain PSI and you have to run tubeless. Then I was like, oh, that's not good. Also, then I found out that the tire choice, you don't exactly get to choose any tire. You can't buy hooked tires for a hookless rim. You have to buy hookless tires. And I started going, well, I have my favorite tires, you know? Turns out I'm looking and there's a very limited selection of tires you could purchase that are hookless. In addition to that, the price of the tires was higher. And of course now the concern starts happening. I started having crazy thoughts like, well, why don't I just buy the bike and I'll sell the wheels and buy some Hunts. I'm really impressed by the Hunt wheels. That's what I have on my Roubaix, my SL3 Roubaix, so I really love them. So I'll just buy some Hunt wheels and I'll buy the bike and sell the wheels somehow. I'm thinking this stuff. But darn it, man, if you're gonna spend this type of money, you wanna get good wheels. So for a week, I suffered. It was like, oh my God, Adam, what are you doing? Just buy the bike. You know you loved it. It felt fantastic. But then there's all these concerns and I'm just suffering literally for a week. And then I started noticing some reviews of Canyon as a company in whole and realized that, wow, the reviews aren't really that good. When people get a bike that's ordered online and everything goes well, very happy with the bike. But when something doesn't go well, their return policy is a little bit troublesome. In addition to that, I'm in America. I'm not in Europe or in Germany. I'm sure it's different there. You would hope so. If something goes wrong with the bike, you don't take it to the bike shop. You have to send it back to Germany. Another week goes by and I'm thinking to myself, but it's such a good deal. Frustration, uncertainty, fear of making a mistake. These are real concerns that people have when they're buying a bike. All of a sudden, my stomach starts to hurt. I don't know what to do. I really like this bike. So I end up talking to Mark, the guy that owns Bill's Bike Shop, and he tells me, hey, I know what you're looking for. Why don't you look into the Aethos, the Specialized Aethos? It's a fantastic bike. It's super light. It's affordable. It's easy to work on if you're a home mechanic. There's not a lot of proprietary parts. So if you don't like the seat post or you don't like the saddle or you don't like the cockpit, it's very easy to change and wouldn't cost a lot of money to alter. And I thought, huh, okay. But the thing is, I'm not buying a bike unless I can test ride it. And Bill's Bike Shop is no longer a Specialized dealer for a number of reasons. I mean, hell, you don't buy a car without test riding it. You don't marry someone without dating them first and test riding. That's a joke. But seriously, this is a big purchase for me. I want to make sure that I at least can try it out. So I call up a bunch of different bike shops. None of them have my size until I find a bike shop in Santa Barbara named Hazard. So I make the trek, I drive up to Santa Barbara, test ride the Aethos. Now keep in mind, in my head, I'm thinking to myself, I want something different. I want a different kind of bike. I want a different experience on the bike. I don't want another Roubaix. I already have one. Nobody buys the same brand and same style of bike that they previously had. Mine is perfectly fine. This is what I'm thinking as I enter the bike shop. I walk in and I see that. What is that? You know those stories about how you're at a party and you see a woman where your eyes meet and it's the most gorgeous woman on earth. And even though your eyes lock, you don't want to meet her because you know she's probably a psycho. So I test ride the Aethos. Nice bike, super light, like way light. I liked it. It was a great bike. Is it cool if I try this Roubaix? They said, sure. Put on pedals for me. I got it outside, got on it. Oh my God. What is this? I'm on this bike, and this bike is exactly like my other Roubaix, just better, like way better. Like, what the heck did they do to this bike to make it better? I'm actually test riding this bike thinking to myself, I don't want another Roubaix. Why would I buy another Roubaix? But, So I bring the bike back to the bike shop. Let me test ride the Aethos again. I take it out. Let me try this again. I take this one out. I spent a half a day there at the bike shop, and they were really nice at this bike shop and let me try both of them out. I was going back and forth, and something in my gut said, I'll sell a kidney to get the money for this bike. It just felt right. It felt like you met eyes with the most gorgeous woman on earth at a party. And she wasn't psycho. She was just normal. So I went home. I talked to my wife. I asked permission. She was cool with it. I called the bike shop 2 days later, and I picked it up the next Tuesday. Now, this is the funniest part of the whole story. My wife, understanding that this is a big deal. The last time I bought a road bike was 15 years ago, and it's a birthday present, and she wanted to go with me, bless her heart. And she said, let's make a day of it. Let's go to lunch. We'll go pick up your bike. We'll have a great time. And I'm like, great. On our way, we go to Padaro Grill, which if you haven't been there, it's just, the food is fantastic. It's in Carpinteria. We go have lunch. My wife has a margarita. We're just having a great time. We go up to Hazard's bike shop. We pick up the bike. Even my wife, when we walked in, she goes, ooh, that's pretty. We got there and my wife had to use the restroom. And I wanted to pay for the bike while she was in the restroom because, I mean, you already know, I kind of didn't want her to know how much this thing was. I said, you know, I could pay for it now, let's ring it up. He goes, okay, well, let me get everything straight. He went and he got me the little pamphlet for it and all this stuff. He goes, okay, yeah, this is the Roubaix Pro, we're marking it up, he's doing the thing. I'm like, yeah, here's the credit card, let's charge it. Then she comes out of the restroom and she's walking like towards me. And the guy is checking me out. And right as she's behind me, the guy says the price. And I don't know, I felt a change in the universe a little bit. But the important thing is I didn't look back. I didn't make eye contact. I just handed the credit card and I was really quiet. And she was quiet, and he gave me the receipt, and we never talked about it. And to this day, right now, neither of us have said a word regarding that little transaction. Is that bike really worth the money? Of course, the answer is no, absolutely not. Kids, stay in school, invest your money. Don't spend it, buy used. Now, the tough question is this bike any better than my old Roubaix? Probably not, but I'll tell you what, it sure feels like it. It's been like a month and a half, and I'm still in the honeymoon phase. But here's really the conclusion of all this. When you buy something that excites you, that makes you want to ride, and you can't help but smile constantly when you're on this frickin' thing, there is absolutely no logical reason why I was gonna buy another Specialized Roubaix. All you have to do is do what your gut feeling tells you. And when I was testing out bikes, I spent 7 years trying to fall in love with the Trek, and on paper I did. And I really liked the Canyon, but there was too many things just going wrong. And then wouldn't you know it, after I bought this bike, a week later, all over the internet, there were videos about the recall of DT Swiss hookless wheels on the Canyon. Can you imagine how upsetting that would have been if I bought a Canyon and then a month later there was a recall? Now that would have sucked. I'm really glad that I saw her across a room, made eye contact, and then, sure enough, she was normal. What I thought I absolutely didn't want in the beginning was exactly what I wanted in the end.